back. You're with us here on Opening Fire. Biocon reported numbers earlier. Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, CMD at Biocon, is joining us from Bangalore as always to take some questions after the numbers. Ma'am, good morning. Prashant this side. Thanks for joining in. Could you just run us through, what business looked like? Margins have come off a little bit, but we'll get to that later. If you could just run us through, give us some color on each of the business segments. How did things look?
Well, as you know, at a 9-month level, we have basically grown 23% at top line. We have grown 11% in terms of EBITDA. Actually, PBT levels, we have also grown very robustly at 17%, though due to increased tax, obviously our growth has actually then come down to about 8%. But having said that, I think we have done extremely well across all our businesses. Our biopharmaceutical business has grown 17% and research services business has grown 34%. And in the biopharmaceutical business, the branded formulations on a 9-monthly level has grown 34%. What is particularly very reassuring is that our API business, based on the statins and immunosuppressants, largely in US and European markets, have done extremely well. But our emerging markets have also fared very well. And emerging markets actually had a good growth in our insulins business. So I think across the board we've seen some good robust growth. And I must mention here that our business has been a very research-focused, research-driven business, where you can see that our R&D expenses have shot up 44% to about 121 crores for this 9-month period. We have, of course, had to handle the challenges of increased import costs, which has affected our raw material cost. We have also experienced a much increased power cost, and despite that, of course, I think we have delivered very strong growth. And this particular quarter we've done extremely well, because this business is a business that is reflective of business with very, very little licensing income contribution. So I think that's what really makes it a very strong quarter for us. Having said that, I also want to emphasize the fact that our research strategy is paying off. We've just received DCGI approval for our second novel biologic, itolizumab, which we plan to launch as Alzumab in mid-2014. And I think that's a product that is going to be a very important product for us, not just in India, but even in terms of global development. We believe that the investments we've made in taking itolizumab to the Indian market will be paid back within 4 years. And I think we expect the global opportunity to be sizable. So I think our R&D strategy is slowly begun to get understood by the market, and I think this is something that will deliver very strong growth.
Okay.
Apart from that, I think our insulin's development is on track. So, we've just concluded our 1-year evaluation study for immunogenicity for our recombinant human insulin. So we are now well on track to file for marketing authorization in Europe later this year. So I think we are very confident that all our investments in R&D are going to pay off handsomely.
The insulin trials in Europe, EU, those are behind. Is that what you're saying?
No, I said we finished our the insulin phase 3 insulin trial was in 2 parts.
Right.
The first trial was an efficacy trial, and the second part was really a safety immunogenicity trial, and that whole trial now has been completed. So once that is done, now we are preparing the dossier for submission for regulatory approval. That's what I meant.
Okay, got that. Ma'am, the blanket price ceiling for insulin here in the country, I think that was announced somewhere mid-November or so. How has that impacted you?
I think there is, it has not impacted us as yet, but there is a lot of uncertainty about drug pricing as a as in general. I think we've seen a slowdown in the Indian pharmaceutical market in the last quarter, largely because there's so much uncertainty around what the government proposes to do. There's been a lot of controversy about compulsory licensing. There's been a lot of controversy about drug pricing, about which drugs come under the essential drug list, and so on and so forth. We've also been, trying to get the government to get used to the concept of ceiling prices as opposed to sort of differentiated prices for each company. I think there is much to be done. We are a bit disappointed that the multiple government agencies that are involved in the pharmaceutical industry are not coordinated, not harmonized. There's a lot of uncertainty around clinical trials. I think the government has to look at all this with a sense of urgency and bring about resolution on a number of these issues, because otherwise you're really going to challenge and devalue the sector for the country.
One last quick question on Syngene, ma'am. What was the performance, and any highlights there?
Well, as I mentioned, I think research services delivered very robust numbers. We've seen a 34% year-on-year growth. This quarter also has been very strong. And we have seen that Syngene is growing in stature. It is the second largest CRO in Asia, of course undisputedly the largest CRO in India. What makes Syngene very, very unique is its integrated service offerings and the fact that it is able to offer end-to-end discovery and development services, both for large molecules and small molecules. This is what makes it very, very differentiated. Last quarter we actually enrolled 2 big customers for integrated services, and I think this is now becoming a very sustainable model. GE's investment in Syngene also has been a very important event. And I think more than just being a financial transaction, I think what GE brings to the table is some high-end platform technologies which Syngene would like to leverage and offer as differentiated service offerings. One of these being a very rapid toxicology to assess and evaluate cardiovascular risk. I think this is going to be extremely important for all molecules under development. And as you start looking at, lead optimization, this becomes a very, very important evaluation factor, which then Syngene can be differentiated on, thanks to, of course, GE.
Thanks very much, ma'am. Good luck with that. Great having you with us here, and good to get those answers across. Appreciate it as always. That's Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw at Biocon taking some questions after the results announcement. Market is up 12 points on the Nifty.